Johnny, man, it's good to be on the winning side. That was a hell of a fight. Pedro's a stud. I heard a lot of MFers barking that I'm old, I'm slow. I definitely should prove them all wrong. I still got some fight in this tank, baby, and we're going to make a run at 35. He was number 5, and that might put me right in the top 5. 3 weight classes. I'm showing I could compete with the best at 38 years old. I don't want to hear nothing from anybody.
Yeah, I think.
What is up, you guys? It's Elias with the Split Decision Network, and before I start the video, I just want to congratulate the new Bellator light heavyweight champion, Vadim Netkov. He captured the title against the number 2 ranked light heavyweight in the world in Ryan Bader on Friday night. It's the biggest win of his career and should earn him a spot in the world rankings. Also, I would like to give a shout out to Keon Kimura. He's one of the best MMA content creators on YouTube. He gives a career retrospective on fighters past and present, so I definitely recommend his channel. Also, appreciate the follow back on IG. Now, last night on ESPN, Frankie Edgar was successful in his his UFC bantamweight debut as he defeated Pedro Munhoz by split decision. Munhoz was ranked number 5 in the UFC rankings, so this should catapult Edgar into that top 5. So the fight itself was really close and it really could have gone either way. Munhoz was applying pressure throughout the entire fight and threw the harder strikes, while Edgar threw more volume and mixed his wrestling well. At 38 years old, Frankie Edgar becomes the 11th UFC fighter in history to win a fight in 3 different weight classes. Oh my gosh. So, when you talk about Frankie Edgar, you're talking about, in my opinion, the most underrated UFC championship reign in history. I mean, he captured the UFC lightweight championship against a prime BJ Penn. We're not talking about 2017 BJ Penn where he's on a 7-fight losing streak. We're talking about a BJ Penn who was killing guys like Kenny Florian and Diego Sanchez. Then, when people thought it was a fluke, he decisively beat BJ Penn in the rematch. Then he went on to have an all-time classic in the rematch against Gray Maynard at UFC 125, which ended up as a draw. Edgar really showed his heart in this fight as he was knocked down 3 times in the first round, and then the next round he hit Maynard with one of the most iconic slams in UFC history. He then went on to beat Maynard in their 3rd fight at UFC 136, knocking him out and leaving him like a potato. And of course, he lost the belt to Benson Henderson, and then he lost the rematch in controversial fashion. I really thought he won that fight. But he went on to have a successful stint at featherweight. So what's next for Frankie Edgar at bantamweight? Well, he's always fighting to be the best. He's never fighting, just for a payday. He always wants to be a champion. That's what Frankie Edgar is. And I really think that's something that's very overlooked in his career. I don't think a lot of people appreciate how tough Frankie Edgar had it in his career. He always fought the toughest fighters. Just look at his resume of fighters he's fought. Uriah Faber, Jose Aldo, BJ Penn, Gray Maynard, Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega. He's never taken the easy way out. And he either fights for a title or top contenders. And honestly, I've never seen Frankie Edgar in a tune-up fight. But if we're seeing what's next for Frankie Edgar, there's only really 3 fights that make sense. So the first one being against the number 4 ranked Corey Sandhagen. I mean, it seems like the only logical reason because Cody Garbrandt, who's number 3, I believe, is fighting for the flyweight belt. And Aljamain Sterling and Marlon Moraes seem poised to fight Petr Yan for the belt, whichever way it goes. The next option could be number 6 ranked Jose Aldo. Now, Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo do have a lot of history as they have fought twice at featherweight, with Aldo beating Edgar both of those bouts. So it would really be interesting for a rubber match to be at bantamweight and to see if Edgar would have better luck at this weight class. And finally, one that I would most likely like to watch is him fight Dominick Cruz. Now, this is because Dominick Cruz is regarded as the greatest bantamweight of all time, and stylistically, it looks like a really good matchup on paper. I mean, you have two of the fastest fighters in history. You have a guy who who was an underdog in Frankie Edgar throughout his entire career, because he was too small for lightweight, he was too small for featherweight, and now he's going to a weight class where the guys are around the same size as him. And then you have a guy in Dominic Cruz who had all these injuries and stuff, and throughout that time he still became a 2-time UFC bantamweight champion. I think it would be a great legacy fight for both of them. So I think that should be the fight to make next for Frankie Edgar and Dominic Cruz. But I'm not a matchmaker, so it doesn't matter. But here's the thing. Whatever's next for Frankie Edgar, it needs to be the right decision, because at 38 years old, almost 39, there's really no room for error. This goes back to my statement when I said that he always fights to be the best. There's really no room for error, because this is pretty much his last shot at becoming a world champion, or at least getting a title shot. And when you look at that top 4, it's pretty dangerous. I mean, all those fighters are 9 years younger than Frankie Edgar. I mean, Corey Sandhagen, I believe, is 28. Aljamain Sterling is 30. Cody Garbrandt is 28. Marlon Moraes is 31. These guys are in the prime of their careers, and they're making some big waves in this bantamweight division. So there's really no room and no margin for error for Frankie Edgar. But really, whatever he does in bantamweight division, it doesn't matter, because in my opinion, I think his legacy is set. And when it's all said and done, once he's done having a consistent bantamweight stint, I think he'll retire, and I think he'll have a spot solidified in the UFC Hall of Fame. Well, that's it for today's video, guys. What do you guys think about the fight last night? Do you think it was a good showing for Frankie Edgar at bantamweight? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow my Instagram at The Split Decision. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Elias Blanco, and I'm out.